You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down.
Look at the stars. The great kings of the past look down on us from those stars. So whenever you feel alone, just remember that those kings will always be there to guide you.
I don't think it is very useful to speculate on what God might or might not be able to do. Rather, we should examine what he actually does with the universe we live in.
We are all explorers, driven to know what's over the horizon. The most profound discoveries are not necessarily beyond that next star. They're within us, woven into the threads that bind us.
Hello, beautiful people. Happy Monday. Happy Moon Day. How's everybody feeling coming off of the very dreamy weekend we just experienced? The sun met up with Neptune and Pisces yesterday, really amplifying that imaginative, inspired energy that we experienced during Pisces season. And this week, the energy changes a little bit. It's our last full week of Pisces season. The astrological new year is this Sunday, so we're really wrapping things up when it comes to this year in astrology and closing chapters, getting some final healing in before we start anew. So we're going to talk through what's happening today. I'll give you a little preview of the energy coming our way this week. We have a full moon this Friday in Virgo at the end of the week, so that's always fun to look forward to. And today we have the moon in Leo. We'll be talking all about that. The moon is making some uncomfortable connections in Leo. So let me know how the energy is feeling already for you this morning, how you normally feel under a Leo moon, whether you're joining us live or watching after the fact. Go ahead and comment below because I always acknowledge that I experience energy differently than you do. Leo rules my 12th house. So, you know, just... That's a little bit intense for me. Good morning, Alex. Oh no, terrible morning so far. Well, unfortunately, that's kind of right on track for the transits today. Doesn't mean there's going to be absolute catastrophe or anything like that, but you're going to want to keep your emotions in check today if possible, because like I said, the Leo moon is making some uncomfortable connections, but something that you might not know about that I want to clue you in on is at the top of every forecast on the spiritualjournalist.com/daily astrology. You can find an affirmation of the day. I put that at the very top of the written forecasts because I like to start people off on okay, this is where we're going today. This is the mantra to keep in mind. And today's affirmation is, I express my emotions with kindness. I express my emotions with kindness. And the reason for that is the Leo moon's a very expressive energy. We're all more willing to kind of put our emotions on display under the Leo moon, but sometimes the manner in which we do so can be a little bit overbearing. So if you're feeling like you need to get something off of your chest, express some emotions today, that's wonderful. Just make sure you're doing so with kindness in mind. So let's talk about what's happening with the Leo moon today and how we can best navigate it. We actually already had a couple different connections with the moon overnight. So like I said, the moon in Leo is very expressive, very passionate. Leo rules the heart space, so anything that's weighing on our heart or that we feel like we literally need to get off our chest, it's going to be hard not to do that today. At 1 a.m., so overnight, last night, the moon formed this awkward angle to Mercury. And so, you know, many of us, I live here in California, we switched our clocks forward an hour on Saturday night. And I don't know about you, but for me, I had a really hard time shutting my mind off last night. And so that could have manifested in that way for you as well. If you were still awake super late at night, midnight, 1 a.m., and you couldn't quiet your mind, we can probably thank Mercury for kind of just forming this awkward angle, being in the background, reminding us rationally of all the adjustments we need to make, all the things we need to do to be on track. And also, just pay attention to any dreams you might have had if you were sleeping at that time. If any strong messages came through or you woke up feeling like, oh, that was bizarre, pay attention to what came through. Mercury is the messenger planet, and with Mercury in Pisces, we can easily get messages through our dreams, especially if it was a dramatic dream with the moon in Leo. If it felt like, okay, that was ridiculous, pay attention to it. It's your subconscious mind trying to send you a really strong message. Oh, yes. Took the day off work. You know what? Good for you. Good for you. Take that mental health day, Alex. I don't know if that was you called in today or you already had it off of work, but yeah, I fully support that. Your dream was full of hail. Dramatic dreams. Okay. I always just Google dream meaning hail and see what comes through. Of course, there are a million different dream sites and there are a million different interpretations, but I just kind of try to see if any of them resonate with me and kind of bring any clarity to whatever message was coming through for me. But that could be your subconscious like preparing you for a storm, even if one isn't coming. Just notice, am I a little bit on edge this morning? Am I bracing myself for something crazy or wild to happen? And sometimes that's our ego or our subconscious trying to protect us, but just recognize if you're in that mode without necessarily needing to be in that mode. That's just kind of what came through. Oh, no. Yeah, your subconscious was telling you like something wild's about to happen. Oh, sending good energy to your dog and hoping that he or she feels better today. That makes me so sad when puppies are sick. All right, so that was the first connection, 1 a.m. Already seems like you guys resonate with that. Then at 3 a.m. Pacific time, the moon opposed Venus overnight. So we could have still been feeling this energy waking up, especially if you're an early riser, or you might have just slept through it. But again, pay attention to dreams as well. Not quite as much as the messages that came through when the moon connected with Mercury, but this manifests as the moon when it opposes Venus gives us an intense need for pleasure. It makes us very needy, almost like we're overly expecting affectionate behavior from other people. And when we have an opposition, you can kind of look at it as an opportunity to face something. And so this is asking us to face our values, our true desires. With Venus being the planet of harmony too, it's kind of asking us like, where can we find balance between our need for affection and our actual values? Also, overindulging in an attempt to feel good. If you woke up in the middle of the night and went to your pantry, you can thank Venus for that. Or, you had this like overwhelming desire to have sex last night. You can thank Venus for that, or this morning as well. So most of these transits happened when we were asleep. They might not have affected you so much, but if you kind of woke up with this like insatiable need for love or affection, that would be the moon opposing Venus. But this is the major transit we're talking about today. The moon is squaring off to Uranus at noon Pacific time. This is the energy we're really going to feel for most of the day. It's the most prominent transit we have, this harsh 90-degree angle between the moon in Leo and Uranus in Taurus. This brings the dramatics to the next level, and things could become a little bit explosive if you let your emotions get the best of you. Uranus is the disruptor. It's the planet of rebellion. And the Leo moon, we know, is very expressive, very loud and proud. So this could bring an intense energy of conflict or this like boisterous need for rebellion. Like we have to just fight the good fight, even if it's not actually a good fight. Our pride with a Leo moon is clashing with our ability to see new perspectives, Uranus being the most innovative planet in the zodiac. So changes are possible. This can really force change, force breakthroughs, but it would require us being really, really mindful of how we're communicating. Most likely, this is going to show up as, I don't want to say anxiety, but just like this rebellious, angsty energy, like this need to revolt almost. So really try throughout the day to take a step back, look at the bigger picture, pace yourself, calm down a little bit if you can. But just know by midday today, the moon squaring off to Uranus, we're already kind of coming into that energy. It brings conflict, it brings rebellion, it brings the dramatics. So yeah, that's where we're at today. And like I said, that's going to be the energy that we feel the most throughout the day. The last connection the Leo moon makes is another awkward angle, this time to Jupiter, and it's at 10 p.m. tonight. So all of these, they're called quincunxes or inconjunct angles. It's basically, if you look at the chart, we'll just jump ahead a few hours here. If you look at the chart, you can see the moon here in Leo is not quite opposite Jupiter. It's one sign off. So that's that awkward angle. And this angle shows us what adjustments we need to make, kind of what's not aligning for us in the best way. And with Jupiter being on the other end of that inconjunct angle, this is really asking us to observe what adjustments we need to make to continue our growth, to continue our expansion, to be able to stay in the flow of abundance and optimism, Jupiter being the great benefic, really wanting us to feel good. But the Leo moon today is not making that easy. So, as you're reflecting on the day, 10 p.m. tonight, some questions you maybe want to ask yourself. Where are you being too set in your ways? Okay, because Leo is a fixed energy and it's squaring off to Uranus and Taurus, also a very fixed energy. And fixed signs are, they're kind of stubborn. They're set in their ways. So as we're processing the day, as the moon connects to Jupiter, ask yourself, what adjustments can I make to maybe open myself up? Where can I find a little bit more flow in my life? Where can I let go a little bit and just let be? Those are all things that could help you even earlier in the day navigate this energy. Where am I being too rigid or fixed? How can I be more cooperative? How can I be kinder? So just try to keep those things in mind. I don't love when we have days like this where it's like, ooh, the transits are a little bit intense. Of course, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news ever, but it's always nice to prepare you, and that's why you're here, to be prepared for the energy ahead. Exactly what you're going through. Okay, yeah, well, you're here, you're aligned, you're right on track, and I think another important reminder is that even when we experience harsh transits, uncomfortable transits, I believe everything happens for a reason. Every opportunity every transit, I should say, is an opportunity to learn something. So even when we're up against kind of difficult or uncomfortable aspects, what can we learn from them? What can we pull from them? How can we better ourselves? Conflict is inevitable in life. It's about how you navigate it that's really going to make the difference. So actually, this just came to my mind. One of my best friends is a mediator and a lawyer, and I was helping her work on her website. And as I'm saying this, I threw a quote on her website by Gandhi, and here's the quote. Peace is not the absence of conflict, but the ability to cope with it. So conflict is inevitable, right? It's part of being human, and it might come up for you today, but how are you handling it? How are you coping with it? Are you being kind? Are you being your best self? If you're not being your best self, why? What's coming up for you? It's okay to be human. It's okay to, Leo energy is very expressive. It's good to get those things out. Just How are you doing it? That's the bottom line. Good morning, Cass. I love seeing you here, beauty. Okay, so in the background, we also have the sun still forming this conjunction to Neptune, pulling away from that today. So you can see that in Pisces, still very much a dreamy energy over here. But like I said, this is the tail end of it. We really felt this over the weekend the most. But still, we have quite a few planets in Pisces right now, 4 planets in Pisces and 3 planets in Aquarius. But Pisces energy is really dominating the moment. And so if you are finding yourself at the same time getting a little lost in dreamland, I'm right there with you. It's really beautiful energy for imagination and inspiration, but sometimes it can be easy to just like get a little bit lost in that place. Especially with Mercury in Pisces, our mind is definitely going to want to daydream and wander over the next couple weeks, which can make it more difficult to be grounded and deal with any conflict. It could feel like you just want to like fly away, float on a cloud somewhere else. But try not to do that again. Like, let's process these things together, you know? And something else about Pisces energy that keeps coming up for me is inspiration. Pisces is known as the most spiritual sign of the zodiac, and the word inspired literally comes from the 2 words in spirit. It means in spirit. So if you have inspiration coming through, your imagination is really working double time, you're dreaming all these things, amazing, beautiful. But also remember, where are these things coming from? When you're inspired, you're in spirit, you're connected to source. So you have the ability to connect even just through your imagination, even just through dreaming. And checking out isn't always a bad thing. It's just a matter of finding a balance between being here, being on this plane, and being in another realm, right? So drifting off into a fantasy can be a really beautiful thing. And, you know, Pisces energy also invites us to take that break in the middle of conflict. You know, especially, like I said, the moon squaring off to Uranus in fixed signs, especially with Uranus and Taurus, it really gives us this like determined, stubborn energy. Like we just want to push through. We want to prove our point if conflict arises. I would say in this case, Pisces energy like can help us soften, lean into empathy, lean into compassion. And if you need to take a break, if you need to watch a funny video on your phone or, you know, go meditate. Actually, that would probably be a better suggestion. Do so, but remember to come back down to earth and resolve the conflict as well. Don't just completely escape from whatever situation is arising for you. So that's what's going on today. It's all about the Leo moon. Might be a bit of an uncomfortable start to your week, and that's okay. Remember, discomfort can help us grow. In fact, discomfort is needed to help us grow, right? We can't become better versions of ourselves if we're just stuck in the same place. So let's do a little overview. I'm also going to tell you what other major transits are coming up for us this week, just to get you prepared for the week ahead. And then we will do a card pull. So today we have the moon in Leo, already made some uncomfortable connections to Mercury and Venus overnight, maybe making it so we couldn't quiet our mind, or we felt this intense need for connection and affection. Pay special attention to anything that came to you, any messages that came through in dreams. But the transit that we're going to feel most powerfully today is a square between the Leo moon and Uranus in Taurus. This happens right around noon Pacific time, and this can cause quite dramatic outbursts. Uranus is the planet of disruption and rebellion, and the Leo moon is very loud and proud and expressive. So you can see when these two energies come into a 90-degree angle, they really want to force us to take action and do something about it. Expressing yourself, getting things that have been weighing on your heart off of your chest isn't necessarily a bad thing, but really try to be mindful of how those things are coming across. Can you say it more kindly? Can you lean into the Pisces season energy and be a little bit more empathetic, compassionate, slow down, focus on the experience of the other person as much as your own experience? And then the last connection the Leo moon makes is an awkward angle to Jupiter around 10 p.m. Pacific time. You might be processing any conflict or really anything dramatic that happened earlier in the day. And this in conjunct angle to Jupiter is asking you to see what adjustments you can make to get back in alignment with your abundance, with your flow, with your expansion, with your growth. And some questions to ask yourself today: where are you being too set in your ways? And where can you find more flow? Okay, and so let's also talk about what's coming up a little later this week. We have tomorrow, the sun is forming a sextile to the north node. So coming off of any realizations you've had today, this could help you kind of align with your purpose a little bit more easily, support you maybe getting back on track towards the path you're supposed to be heading on. Then the moon moves into Virgo ahead of the full moon on Friday. The moon moves into Virgo on Wednesday, makes a couple different connections. And then on Thursday, what day is it? Yeah, Thursday. The sun squares off to Lilith and Mercury forms a sextile to Uranus. This could be a little bit intense, but also we could have innovative ideas come through. We could be thinking about the future when Mercury forms a sextile to Uranus. And yeah, don't be surprised if you have like a brilliant light bulb moment on Thursday. I keep getting my days confused. Sorry about that. And then on Friday, we have the full moon in Virgo. I'm a little biased because I'm a Virgo. I love a full moon in Virgo. And the sun is forming a sextile to Pluto at really right around the same time as the full moon. And this is helping us transform and change under the light of the full moon. The moon is also harmonizing with Pluto as well. So really, this could be a very transformative full moon for you. And there's a lot of energy supporting us during this full moon as well. Over the weekend, Venus squares off to Uranus on Saturday. So that could be a little needy or cause some conflict in relationships. That's on Saturday, though. We'll deal with that later in the week. And then Sunday, we have the astrological new year. Aries season begins. Fresh energy, clean slate. So as we're working up towards the astrological new year, remember, Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. It wants us to find closure. It wants us to find healing. And it wants us to find our connection to spirit. So sometimes difficulties that arise are here to ask us to lean into that connection a little bit more. Sometimes you have to hit that rock bottom to fully open yourself up to a spiritual connection. I'm not saying you're going to hit rock bottom this week. That's just an example of, a lot of times our biggest learning moments are our most uncomfortable moments, like I said. So I really feel like any tension that's coming up this week is here to help us finally close out some chapters, find some healing so we can have that clean slate for the astrological new year on Monday. And I am so excited. On Monday, we're going to have a full astrology New Year's party. I have a lot of exciting announcements coming up. We're going to see a few little changes to the format of the show, nothing major, but just dreaming up some new ideas in Pisces season. So stay tuned for some announcements about how you can get involved in the little party. Basically just going to be like this, but a little bit more fun. So that's what's going on this week. This is a great time to ask questions. I'm going to pull from the Work Your Light Oracle deck by Rebecca Campbell, one of my favorite decks. And I know Alex and Just Watching have been telling me how the morning is going. No, it's not great for you so far, but it's going to get better, you guys. It's going to get better. Aw, thank you for being here. And let's see what needs to come through today. What do we need to know? Okay, Lemuria. This is a really great omen as I drop the box. Creating heaven on earth. It's happening. That's the message here. So what does the guidebook say? I pulled this card before. It's a very positive card. And I think, just right off the bat, it's encouraging us to lean into our connection to spirit, as I said. And, remember that everything is here to continue pushing us towards creating a more beautiful earth, creating a more beautiful experience for everybody living here at this time. I swear I'm going to find the description in the guidebook. It's eluding me. There we go. Flipped right to it. All right. Lemuria. Lemuria, or Mu, is one of Earth's lost lands where heaven really was a place on Earth, a time before we were kicked out of the Garden of Eden. In Lemuria, life worked in harmony. All beings were seen as equal, and we were deeply reverent to Mother Earth. We knew that a mosquito was no worse than us and the sun no better. Perhaps you too believe that heaven really can be a place on Earth. Perhaps you are part of the transition team who at a soul level are devoted to creating this kind of harmony on the planet now. Thank you for wanting to do this work. It's easy to get overwhelmed by the state of affairs on the planet right now, but you are being encouraged to keep holding the clear vision of the future. It is closer than you think. You may be guided to hold the frequency of Lemuria in your own community, family, workplace, or within yourself. Know that it is possible, and while at times it may feel like you are alone, you truly are not. There are hundreds of thousands who hold the codes of this ancient lost land, and even Lemuria crystals that hold the codes of remembering that are beginning to rise all over the planet. Keep doing what you are doing, and remember, the only way to heal the world around us is to first heal ourselves. Yes. Something as I was reading that was coming up for me, Uranus is in Taurus, and Uranus is a very slow-moving planet. Again, remember, we have the Leo moon squaring off to Uranus today, kind of creating this tension, the most dominant energy we're going to feel today. But Uranus and Taurus, Uranus is the planet of disruption and change, and Taurus represents the physical earth. So while Uranus has been in Taurus, there has been a huge awareness around the changes happening to the physical earth, right? Climate change. We're all more aware of temperatures rising, of sea levels rising, of the impact we have had on the planet. But I think on a spiritual level, you may have heard of New Earth. Lemuria is kind of an example of that. Heaven on earth, a more peaceful version of Earth. And I really feel like the changes that are happening are here to help us level up into a new version of Earth. There is a disruption to the current way of things on this planet. So it might come up for you today as you want to hold this vision of the changes happening on Earth, the innovation that could be happening on Earth, but again, the Leo moon can be very prideful, or maybe you see something one way, somebody else sees a different perspective, and that can cause clashing. But just remember to hold the vision of what you want the world to look like and be the vision of what you want the world to look like. That can really help you navigate any conflict. And it also, remember, it says it's easy to get overwhelmed by the state of affairs on the planet right now. The energy is tense. There is a war going on in another part of the world. We're all affected by this energy. We're all interconnected with this energy. So also give yourself some grace for the energy that you're experiencing, for the energy that everybody is experiencing, the tension we're all feeling as people are experiencing devastation and great loss. That affects every single person on the planet. So keep doing what you're doing, and remember, the only way to heal the world around us is to first heal ourselves. If tension arises for you in an interpersonal dynamic, that is your opportunity to level up and raise the energy collectively. Your energy affects the energy of the entire world. So even if it seems like something trivial or petty, or this conflict between you and a partner, of course, isn't going to affect the grand scheme of things, it actually does. It actually does. So every hiccup, speed bump, challenge is actually an opportunity for growth. Oh, I'm so glad to see you here. Yes, taking my journalism skills and applying them to astrology. And yes, heaven on earth. We are creating it. We're here for it. All right, everybody. That's going to do it for this episode of Transits Today. Tomorrow we have a new episode of The Spiritual Journalist. It'll be at noon Pacific time this time. And we have Christina Hollinger joining us. She's a feng shui expert. So we're talking all about feng shui, the history of it, how she got into it, the basics, where to start to get the energy flowing in your home, and how it's affected her life, really, because I've dabbled in feng shui, but for example, where I'm sitting right now is very anti-feng shui. So I'm really curious to see what she has to say and any quick tweaks we can make to make our environment more harmonious, right? And we'll also be back with another episode of Transits Today tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. talking all about that sextile between the sun and the North Node and the other connections the Leo moon will be making tomorrow. So thank you so much for joining me today. If you found this video helpful, please go ahead and like and subscribe. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers so we can monetize this channel and keep bringing you all of this content for free every morning. And I'm just so grateful for all of you being here, for showing up, for joining this community, for showing up for yourselves, for showing up for each other, for being honest, authentic, vulnerable in the chat. It means the world to me, and I'm so grateful for you. Sending you so much love on this Monday, and I will see you right back here tomorrow morning. But until then, stay curious. Thank you so much for joining us and aligning with the energy of the universe today. If you enjoyed this morning's episode of Transits Today, you can join our live astrology discussion every weekday morning right here wherever you're watching. And head to thespiritualjournalist.com to read your daily astrology forecast and browse the Spiritual Shop. The most fun way to help keep these forecasts free and support more content like this is to buy yourself a little something on our website. But if you're feeling extra generous, you can also buy me a coffee to fuel future live streams. Just tap the link in the description or head to buymeacoffee.com and search The Spiritual Journalist. And speaking of, you can also tune in to The Spiritual Journalist, our weekly live interview where we ask our guests questions about everything from crystals and manifestation to mental health and the environment. Those conversations stream live right here wherever you're watching now every Tuesday. I'm so grateful you found us here, and I can't wait for our next conversation.